Right now, there are seniors over 65 losing part of their Social Security income every month without realizing it. The money is not missing because they broke a rule, and it is not missing because they failed some secret test. It is missing because the Social Security Administration pays the benefits you apply for, not every benefit you may legally qualify to receive. If the correct document is never submitted, the payment may never begin. And in many cases, no one inside the system is required to contact you and point that out. So the months keep passing, the unpaid money keeps stacking up, and the deadline for recovering part of it can quietly disappear before you even know a mistake was made. My name is Nora O'Donnell. I represent taxpayers before the Internal Revenue Service and spend much of my work helping retirees understand the federal rules that affect their income, filings, and benefits. The pattern I see again and again is not recklessness. It is ordinary, careful seniors making one invisible filing mistake that costs them hundreds of dollars a month for years. They assume that once they apply for Social Security, the agency automatically checks every possible category and places them in the highest lawful benefit. That is not how the system works. Eligibility and payment are two separate things, and if the right application is never filed, the money can sit there unclaimed while the retiree believes everything has already been handled. That is why this subject matters so much. The most expensive mistake in retirement is often the one you never see. There is no warning letter telling you that you missed a higher benefit. There is no monthly notice saying another category was available but not claimed. There is usually no penalty, no red flag, and no obvious sign anything is wrong. There is simply a smaller deposit arriving month after month, while a larger lawful amount remains untouched. And because some benefit categories carry strict retroactive limits, discovering the problem late does not always restore what was lost. In many cases, the money you could have collected earlier is gone for good, even if you qualified for it the entire time. Here is the foundation behind that problem. Social Security is not one payment stream with one universal application. It is a system made up of separate benefit categories, each with its own rules, triggers, and filing requirements. A person may qualify for a retirement benefit on their own earnings record, a spousal benefit based on a husband or wife, a survivor benefit after the death of a spouse, or supplemental security income if income and assets are low enough. But qualification alone does not guarantee payment. The agency generally processes the application that was filed. It does not proactively audit every case for every unclaimed category and then automatically switch people into the most favorable option. That burden often falls on the retiree, and that is exactly where so many seniors lose money. The first hidden check many people miss is the spousal benefit. This is where a lower earning spouse may be entitled to receive up to half of the higher earning spouse's primary insurance amount, depending on timing and filing rules. Many seniors assume this is automatically rolled into a standard retirement claim, especially if they file online. But a standard retirement filing often focuses on the worker's own record, and unless the spousal angle is explored and the proper application is completed, that extra money may never be added. This is especially important for people who spent years working part-time, stepping out of the workforce to care for family, or earning much less than their spouse over a long marriage. In those households, the difference can be several $100s every month. The second category is the survivor benefit, and this is where the losses can become much more severe. A widow or widower may be entitled to receive as much as the deceased spouse's full benefit amount, depending on age and claiming status. Yet many surviving spouses simply continue receiving the smaller retirement amount tied to their own work record because nobody ever walked them through the separate filing needed to compare the two options. Think about how this plays out in real life. A woman loses her husband, keeps receiving her own reduced benefit, assumes the agency has already adjusted everything it needed to adjust, and only years later learns she could have switched to a much larger survivor payment. By that point, the emotional shock is long past, but the financial damage has been done in silence. And this is where the urgency becomes real. Many survivor benefit corrections are subject to a limited retroactive window. That means even if you qualified earlier, the system may only pay back a portion of what was missed once the correct application is finally filed. Every month beyond that window is usually gone permanently. No special appeal restores it. No one writes a check for all the time the higher benefit sat there unclaimed. That is why seniors who are widowed cannot afford to assume the agency automatically moved them into the best available category. If your current statement still shows only a retirement benefit and your late spouse had a stronger earnings record, you need to treat that as a warning sign. The third overlooked issue involves delayed retirement credits and early filing decisions. Social Security benefits can grow for each month a person delays claiming past full retirement age up to age 70. But many people file early at 62 or shortly after because they think starting sooner is always safer, only to realize later that the permanent reduction was much larger than they understood. In some situations, people who filed recently may still have a narrow window to withdraw that application and potentially refile later at a higher rate. That option does not stay open forever. If the deadline passes, the chance to reset the claim usually closes. For seniors who filed in the last year and now suspect they claimed too early, reviewing that timing immediately could make a lifelong difference. The fourth missed source of money is Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. This is a separate program from retirement benefits, and it exists for seniors with limited income and resources. Many retirees wrongly assume that if they receive any Social Security check at all, they cannot qualify for SSI. That is not always true. Some people can receive retirement benefits and still meet the financial thresholds for SSI assistance. But this does not usually happen automatically. If nobody screens the household properly and no separate SSI application is filed, the extra support never begins. For lower income seniors struggling with housing costs, food, medication, or utilities, missing SSI can mean the difference between barely surviving and finally having enough monthly cash flow to breathe. Now, here is the timing trap that makes all of this so costly. Filing the correct document late can be almost as damaging as never filing it at all. Some benefits have retroactive limits. SSI generally pays from the month of application forward, which means delay can wipe out entire months of support with no way to retrieve them. This is why I tell seniors never to confuse entitlement with payment. The law may say you qualify, but the deposit does not increase until the proper request is actually in motion. The longer you wait to verify your status, the more likely it becomes that part of your lawful benefit disappears into a period that can no longer be recovered. There is also a smaller group of older seniors who need to pay attention to restricted filing strategies tied to birth date rules. Some people born before a certain cutoff may still have access to planning options that younger retirees no longer have. The key point is simple. If you assume every planning opportunity ended for everyone, you may never ask the one question that reveals you still have a special option available. So here is what to do right now. Pull out your Social Security statement and look carefully at the benefit category shown on it. Do not rely on memory. Read the current category as it appears. If it only reflects your own retirement benefit and you are widowed, or your spouse had higher lifetime earnings, or your household income is very limited, that is your signal to investigate immediately. Next, contact the Social Security Administration and ask for a complete review of every benefit attached to your record and every benefit category for which a separate application has not yet been filed. Make it clear you are not merely asking for your payment amount. You are asking whether an unclaimed category remains. After that, gather the documents that often delay claims. Have your Social Security card, birth certificate, latest benefit statement, marriage certificate, if a spousal or survivor claim may apply, your spouse's identifying information, and a death certificate if you are widowed. When seniors show up without complete paperwork, the application often stalls, and a delay of even a few weeks can matter if a filing window is already closing. If you are widowed, ask for a written comparison between your current benefit and the survivor amount you may claim. If your income is low, ask whether you should be screened for SSI. If you filed for retirement within the last 12 months and regret the timing, ask whether withdrawal options are still on the table. The reason this video matters is not that there is one magic form every senior can file. There may be one missing document in your case, but the only way to know is to verify which category you are in and which category you never applied for. For one person, the hidden check comes from a spousal claim. For another, it comes from a survivor benefit. For someone else, it may come from SSI or from acting quickly enough to correct an early filing decision before the deadline disappears. The common thread is simple. Seniors lose money when they assume the system automatically protects them. It usually does not. So before another month passes, do not assume your Social Security deposit is already the highest amount the law allows. Verify it. Check the category. Ask the agency what has not been filed. Make them compare the benefit you have against the benefit you may still be entitled to claim. Because once the retroactive window closes, the loss stops being temporary and becomes permanent. The Social Security Administration pays what is properly claimed. If the right document was never submitted, your hidden Social Security check may still be sitting there waiting, but the clock to claim it is already running.